this sucks. I gotta stop. Like, I gotta stop doing this. I'm really unhappy up here.
Is anyone there? Hi.
By 2014, Porter was gearing up to drop what most would call his magnum opus.
The album that you're working on is focused on beauty and emotion. What does that mean?
I've made a conscious effort in writing this stuff to try to do it as honestly as possible and just I'm just trying to take all of my favorite things and run them through my own creative filter. And
This was actually very risky for Porter, since around this time, he was only known as this massive EDM DJ, music made for clubs that is, in Porter's words, all functional and not art.
So I was not trying to write like half DJ bangers and half honest music. It's all stuff that I really care deeply about, to be honest. And
it's going to be kind of jarring for some people, but I think it's by far the best music I've ever made.
For fans of Porter, this change was surprising. But for Porter himself, this change was inevitable, because being a DJ was never his dream in the first place.
The first thing that really connected with me with music was playing like rhythm games. So for me, it was like Dance Dance Revolution.
look at the background.
Something about it, like I would just be up there in that room for hours and hours and hours playing. And it was my first time hearing Japanese music. It was my first time like hearing electronic music. And so I illegally downloaded software on my mom's computer, probably gave her a few viruses along the way, a little bit of spyware. I was basically arranging loops on the computer like you would do with GarageBand. It was mostly just trying to emulate my heroes from video games.
I started when I was 12 and I made bad music for a really, really long time, I think. And I started producing like the genre electro. I wasn't really trying to do much in the way of artistic expression with that music. I was more interested in just showing how well I could produce. That was my goal back then. I was very much a producer's producer, I think.
I remember being like 15 years old and telling my dad I had gotten a record deal. I was going to get paid 500 euros to put out a vinyl of this track that I made.
Say my name and you can.
He's just like, I'm like, okay. And then it was the first song I released under my own name. Porter Robinson was the one that like, it ended up going #1 on that chart.
Hardcore, hard style, hands up, everything.
I wasn't
It's fucking awesome.
thirsty for success in the music industry at all. I was just like trying to do the things that I really loved. And so
I started getting requests to go DJ. This guy's like, I'll pay you $500 to come to Portland and DJ my party. And I'm like, well, let me learn how to DJ and I will do that for you. For one reason or another, my DJing happened to go very well, and I kept releasing music, and suddenly a lot of bigger artists were into me, and they put me on some tours. I didn't have this goal to be the next #1 DJ in the world. I just kept taking the opportunities that were being given to me and just doing my best at all of them, and trying to DJ in a way that I would enjoy and do what I thought was fun in that context. And my roots are not as a DJ. I was seriously 15 years old in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, just at home writing electronic music for many, many years.
I wanted to help resuscitate this particular cyber aesthetic that it was prevalent in like a lot of Japanese games and stuff like that during the early 2000s, and just a lot of media that I loved.
I wanted to take all those things and push them together again for Virtual Self. And I just wanted Virtual Self to be its own world. And one really critical way of doing that was to separate it into its own project.
Porter loves to send these musical love letters to eras in time that has a special place in his heart.
I would get really obsessed with a specific thing. And in this case was this new sound that was coming out. And I would do my best to try to make a little piece of that. I'll find something and I'll fall in love with it so hard, and it'll feel like the meaning of life. And I feel like the only way for me to get closer to it, this feeling that I love, is to like live it somehow and embody it.
And his method to the madness got him up here.
What brings you here this evening?
Yeah, so I've been nominated for my side project, which is called Virtual Self, for Best Dance Recording. It's a song called Ghost Voices. For this to get the Grammy nom is like, it was so far from what I expected, yeah.
Virtual Self is one of the many love letters to his obsessions, with his EP Spitfire being the first love letter to start it all off.
I'm going to be releasing my upcoming EP on his label. I'm definitely sort of sticking with the hard, complex, aggressive electro house sound. but I'm also, I'm branched now. I'm just gonna push the envelope and try to keep the sound really aggressive and detailed and banger. That's the most important quality.
Expect Porter Robinson plus for this EP.
You coined the term complextro.
I did.
What does this mean, my dear?
I wanted to have like a nice, funny, cute little portmanteau to describe my sound.
Okay.
So complex, electro, complextro. I never intended for it to describe a genre or anything like that, but people started using it and they started describing glitchy bass music, particularly glitchy electro with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of caught on.
One love letter out of the way. I guess it was time for the next one for Porter.
You wanted to move toward making music that emotionally affected audiences more.
Right. The music I'm writing today is less focused on being really good DJ music and more focused on being beautiful, emotional music that really makes you feel something. This is what I live for, I'm a DJ, but most primarily I'm a musician, and I really live for writing music. That's my favorite part of my life.
A lot of the EDM stuff, I think, stopped being appealing to me, not because of the culture of it, but more so just because the music is quite functional. It exists to make people go crazy, and to me, in a lot of ways, it's entertainment and it's not really art.
There were times where I would be playing shows and I would just be like looking at people. I'd be just standing there feeling nothing, DJing.
I think there's kind of a ceiling to what you can do when you're trying to operate within this tiny little circle of stuff that can make people go crazy and jump up and down.
This sucks. I gotta stop. I gotta stop doing this. I'm really unhappy up here.
Is this the first collaboration between you guys, or have you done several before?
Yeah.
This is the first.
It's the first and last, actually.
Last?
Yeah.
Well, why last?
Me and Hugo Marion met when he was like 12 and I was 14 and online, and we were kind of like rivals on the music production forum. Like we were both trying to be the best like preteen producer on there. I think we really saw each other as like we bounced off of each other a lot.
It kind of happened that we went our separate ways, and then a few years later, like he just became this big artist and I did too, and then we kind of linked up and we were like, it's really crazy that we knew each other back then, and we sort of became friends again and felt like a little victory lap there.
We had to find something that was going to mean something to the both of us, and we both have pretty similar family situation, We both live at home, and so that was one of the inspiration.
My image of this video is something that's very deeply kind of personal, and I see it as something that is very kind of serene in some ways and beautiful.
That was a beautiful, beautiful production, guys.
Dude. I'm not alone.
Wow.
This was home for Porter Robinson. This was his shelter in a way. Bro, honestly, this was the first time I heard Porter Robinson, and what can I say, bro? It's just a beautiful song, man. It's gorgeous.
Arigato.
I don't care if everyone stops listening to my music. I just have to do this thing. Like all these EDM fans, I don't need them. Like I'm just gonna do this thing, even if it costs me everything.
Language was the big one. For me, that was sort of testing the waters, and the response has been magnificent.
I felt was risky at the time because I had only released really bangery, like bassline electro stuff. And then this song comes out and is a little bit more sensitive and more emotional, and it became my biggest song. That to me was very vindicating, and I was like, well, maybe I'm just way better at writing music that's sincere, and maybe I can make better music if I cast off everything. Like I took that notion to the extreme, that if I get a little more honest in my music, it'll work. I started writing music with that in mind. I was hooked. It was the most gratifying thing ever. This entire album was so much about escapism. It was all about these worlds that I think exist in our minds. I kept finding that I was using sounds that evoked like this era of video games, like late 90s, early 2000s, like N64 stuff. And in the art direction, I kept using these low poly 3Ds, and that looks so cool to me, and that really touches me because that's what I grew up with.
I wouldn't even start calling it EDM anymore. It was kind of...
It's creating a new genre.
Every single thing was on purpose.
This whole show is an art piece. It's not even a concert. It's like a freaking art installation. It was amazing.
This was an experience.
Thank you guys so much. Seriously, you guys were the best.
Look, personally, Worlds is one of my favorite albums ever. The way Porter combines elements of electronic music and human connection and emotion, it's simply electrifying.
It ended up sort of influencing how EDM would sound for the next few years. I kind of came home from touring Worlds, and I was like, it's time for me to write the next thing. And I was like, I felt like I had discovered my sound. I was like, you know, I've been working all this time to figure out what my sound is, and I found it with Worlds, and it's clearly resonating. So I realized that like I just could not make anything good at all. Music was the thing that it felt like the one thing I was ever really good at. It felt like it was the thing that made me special, and it felt like the thing that made people proud of me. Once this thought creeped into my head of like, what if I can't make music? Then every day I was going into the studio with the intent to dispel that. I felt really, really lost.
Life experiences are like, it's like these raw materials that you collect and bring in to your own world, and you don't know how much of it you're going to use, and some of it's like manure, but like creativity can grow out of it. You just need to have stuff to be thinking about and digesting, and all I had was my own self in the studio making nothing.
If you take a second to contemplate like literally anything, like the pen in your hand, it's amazing. I think like everything is amazing. I'm just so in awe of existence and of living, and of like getting to experience anything at all. To me is a fucking wild. And I just like, and I'm realizing like I gotta appreciate this shit while I'm here. There's no shortage of people telling you that the world sucks, and there's so many problems, and it's right, there's so many things that need to be fixed, and there's so many, you know, we gotta all do our best to make things good for people. But it's also easy to miss how incredible everything in our world is. That sort of contemplation was really useful for me, because I was like, I can't miss all this stuff, you know. I can't miss this world that we live in. Like, I was riding around New York listening to the little demo I'd made of it on loop over and over and over. This is part of the song that's just like, it's just this little hook, but it filled me with so much hope, and like it was the symbol for me for years of like, I got that little thing down, and so now I gotta finish this. This idea of just these bright green meadows and these blue skies, that was one of the first touch points that I knew I wanted to do something that felt like that, but I didn't know why. And later I come to find out, oh, it's because I needed to fall back in love with reality. Nature, these blue skies, these meadows, is the symbol of earth and of things being as they should be, and of peace and health and all these things that I needed.
Nurture became about this appreciation for the things that are close to us, and like the beauty and meaning that you can find in just like the very mundane and the everyday.
Your own work brought you out of your creative rut.
You made me cry.
That's cool.
What a phenomenal freaking album. Nearly every track was unique in its own way, and I think this is one of the best albums of the year so far. The album is so emotionally potent. I consider it my favorite album. This is such a well-crafted album, and it feels larger.
Bro, are you reading all of this, man? This album is literally life-changing for so many people. Look, I've even got a vinyl for myself. Let me show you. Look, bro, it's right here. Like, this is an actual, honestly, this is my favorite album ever, man.
There's so much amazing music and art out there, so many great artists, and it's hard for people to get the spotlight. So much great artistry falls by the wayside. And so I was like, dude, I know that there are these artists out there that my fans would absolutely fuck with. I know they would love it. The idea behind my festival was like this super curated experience where it's like all of my favorite music in one place.
You do the coolest thing where you perform twice at your own festival.
Yeah.
But this man performs once at the top. You're the first performer people see, and then you're the last.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, what if people just come for my show at the end? Like, what if people only see my set and like, you know, what about all these other artists that I want to have a great experience? I really want this to be great for everyone. So I decided that one way to help would be if people really want to see me, then if I open the festival, then you got to get your ass in there early, and then you got to watch all this other stuff that I think is great, and maybe you'll be drained by the time my headline performance comes on.
2 of my songs are coming to DDR. Look at the Sky and Something Comforting are both going to be released in the new update. That kid, his music is going to be in DDR. I'm extremely happy about this. I thought I would share.
We have a lot to discuss because I do think that the Porter Robinson that sits here today is the same Porter as before, but definitely a little different, no?
Well, I have makeup on right now. I came to really hate the like ultra refined version of myself that was like tried to be perfect and was like acting like I had all the answers. The human being at the end of all that, me, was like started to really feel like a caricature. The solution in my mind was like, fuck the reality. Like, I'm gonna like have all this bravado, I'm gonna say things that I don't mean. And as soon as I picked up the guitar, the songs I was trying to write, stuff like Knock Yourself Out or Cheerleader, the bangers, like that was when I made it first. But then after a while, I started telling the truth more with the lyrics. And I realized that I could showcase this real like bravado, and then later on in the same song, I could say something that's like so painful for me to admit. Normally I'd tell myself, you can't go there. Like that's too X, it's too embarrassing, it's too cringe, it's too like self-congratulatory. And on this album, I tried to say yes every single time. Whatever I was trying to stop myself from saying would be the first thing I would say on the song. At all times, I'm trying to make my own favorite thing. 100% of the time, I never sit down in the studio not trying to make my own favorite songs. Great art doesn't come from a place of fear. I think it comes from a place of vulnerability and of like risk. And fear makes you put on armor and say the safe thing, and that just doesn't catch people's attention because they've seen it before. Vulnerability is taking the risk of like getting dragged or getting embarrassed or looking dumb, and like that's where the truly resonant stuff comes from. That fear of not belonging or if people telling you suck is so often millimeters away from the thing you actually ought to be doing. So often so close to where you're gonna shine.